And as you hear the theme tune slowly fading away into the background, it's time for me to say hello, my spooky friends, and welcome to the Paranormal Tourists. It's episode, what are we on now, 11, I think. And if you missed episode 10, which was called The Parched Poltergeist versus the Bisley Boy, you can go back and listen again. You can find us amongst other places on Cotswold Radio's Mixcloud, as well as searching for the Paranormal Tourists on YouTube. Right, there we go. First of all, let's listen to this week's show, and it's going to be a weird show because I'm currently sort of hiding in the most soundproof room or bit I can find, so you might hear voices in the background because I'm on a ghost hunt somewhere, and we haven't got anything amazing happening so far, and I promise you, if I'm on a ghost hunt and something amazing happens, we will hopefully get it recorded and then you can all hear it. But I'm here with a bunch of ghost hunters, so if today's show sounds weird, I'm going to be running in and out and so on. But if it's the first time you're listening to the Paranormal Tourists, then let me explain. Oh, there's a voice in the background, I just heard one. Each week we give you tales of the supernatural, but more importantly we talk about places that you can visit, hopefully for free, and also give you details about ghost hunts that you can go on, and spooky things to see and do throughout not only the Cotswolds, but also further afield. All served up with a healthy dose of folk songs and spooky music to occupy your time as you travel to your destinations. After all, we are the Paranormal Tourists. Well, that's the introduction over with, and straight into the show. And we've had updates from previous weeks and emails from people. Some of you have worked out that I seem to be sort of doing the Cotswolds in roughly alphabetical order recently. And I might admit I'm going to have to stop this, as I've got emails telling me how I've missed out our village or this town or this house or this manor or whatever, and you forgot about this ghost or that spirit. So I'm going to cram in the updates from some previous venues, but don't panic, folks. If I have missed you out, we're going to get to you eventually. But remember, the point of the Paranormal Tourist is to tell you about places that you can visit. So there's no point going on about private houses or gardens if you can't get into them, is there? Now, I'm on a ghost hunt right now, and we've had some interesting experiences. Nothing amazingly paranormal, but we've had some sort of weird sounds and a couple of sightings of odd lights floating about. If something amazing happens, I will come back to you. If halfway through this episode you get a very excited voice of me, you know something amazing has happened. Right, so I'm going to go back to the A's, as we're going back to Oldsworth and our tales of John Crump. And there was a whole episode where we talked about John Crump. There were some songs about John Crump, and those you can't remember, there's the story of the ghost, the gambling party goer, John Crump. His deer coursing park and lodge park, and it refers to secret rooms. This was a practice of sealing ghosts in bottles and in rooms, and I heard a modern take on this tale in a building Prestbury, actually, where a ghost is trapped in a room, which then gets sealed up or locked up and never opened again. These rooms are often referred to as vanished rooms. There's also an unexcavated long barrow at Long Park, which I didn't know about, and legend has it contains the murdered remains of several of John Crump's wives. Whether there is any truth to that rumour at all, I have no idea. But we also missed out tales from Andoversford, mostly because there's not that many. But if you have driven near the studios here at the old prison at Northreach, you may well have come along the A40, which had a reputation for car crashes. And one such junction was the one at Andoversford, which before it had traffic lights, which it now has, before it had those installed, we have more than its fair share of accidents. And one theory was that it was haunted, and that this was linked to the skeletons that were discovered there. And archaeological excavations near the junctions found several shallow graves containing skeletal remains, all of which seemed to date from the Roman period, and many showed evidence of a violent death and looked like they may have occurred at roughly the same time. There are sightings of figures in this area, not many, and none of them have been reportedly sort of Romanesque in any shape or form. But we do have a fair share of Roman villas, and there's literally one if I walk out of the studio when I'm up at the old prison. Then there is one that's a couple of miles away. Now, we talked about Banbury not that long ago, actually, and apparently there were a few tales I missed. So a quick rundown of those. Off we go to the Castle Shopping Centre, a structure from the 1970s, but it was built apparently on the site of an ancient castle. which may explain the spook somewhat. Many witnesses have seen a lady in a grey shawl, and it's appeared on CCTV, and I think we possibly talked about that, although we have talked about Banbury on our previous series, which you can find on Spotify. And this was all reported, apparently, by a security staff room. In the security staff room, so should I say, where the CCTV was. And the security staff, on the reports that I've seen, it seems to centre around the clock area. And one report I've also seen doesn't seem to make much sense, but has security guards and others have seen the apparition of 2 children. And the reason it doesn't make much sense is that they look like they're imprisoned behind the bars of a cage. And I know that doesn't make sense, and more importantly, that's all the info I can find on the subject. And guards have said when investigating these CCTV sightings, the area seemed unusually very cold. So that's a bit of a trek back to a few episodes, and Barton on the Heath, we missed out, and just under a mile from the village of Barton on the Heath is a sprawling metropolis that has the last census in 2001 had an unimaginably huge population of 85 people living in Barton. So not exactly surprisingly, there's not a massive amount of spooky stories. I did get a tale about a place called a Peewit Cottage, a lovely little building in the area that has a headless lady ghost that walks around a pond late at night. But that pond was in their garden, so not exactly a tourist-friendly destination, I'm afraid. There is, however, a slightly easier spook to spot, and that is a highwayman. Between Barton and Kitebrook, there's a bend in the road that has a weeping ash, or at least it did the last time I was there, and it is here that the ghost of an executed highwayman is seen on rare occasions. It's thought they were executed here, and it seems a very strange place to execute someone, so we may be talking extrajudicial mob violence at this point. Now, if you're a regular listener to the show, you will know we've done many songs about highwaymen, so it'd be churlish to do another. Far too self-indulgent for a decent radio show to put out there, and as we're not a decent radio show, far too self-indulgent. Again, we're going to do it anyway. I'm about to broadcast another highwayman song, I think. I think that technically that makes us an indecent radio show, doesn't it? Actually, let us not be indecent, as this is more of a song about a lynch mob and injustice of not actually getting a decent trial, as I think the ghost of this highwayman to be hanged where they were, not in a prison environment, not at a crossroads, not at so on. It seems rather unusual, as though they were just sort of lynched. So here we go. It's a song called The Lynch Mob.
They caught him at dusk with a blade in his hand, a tarnish on the road and a stain on the land. No words were spoken, just torches in flight. Justice is blind, but she burns so bright. No judge, no gavel, no plea to the sky. The mob doesn't listen, they only reply. No sin, the wind sways left, sways right. The highwayman swings into the night. No sin, the wind cries, set us free. But the crowd won't stop, what will be, will be. No, the crowd won't stop or let it be. So the crowd won't stop or hear my plea. His crimes, they whispered, as dark as coal, but his voice was stopped before all was told. A voice called for mercy, tore, cleared my name. The hangman, like the crowd, were insane. No judge, no gavel, no plea to the sky. The mob doesn't listen, they only reply. No sin, the wind sways left, sways right. The highwayman swings into the night. No sin, the wind cries, set us free. the crowd won't stop. What will be, will be. No, the crowd won't stop or let it be. So the crowd won't stop or hear my plea. Ashes and echoes on the cobblestone street, where justice and vengeance will never meet. Which writes the truth when the ink is red? Who mourns the truth? Who buries the dead? No judge, no gavel, no plea to the sky. The mob doesn't listen, they only reply. No sin, the wind sways left, sways right. The highwayman swings into the night. No sin, the wind cries, set us free. But the crowd won't stop. What will be, will be. No, the crowd won't stop or let it be. So the crowd won't stop or hear my plea. The crowd won't stop. What will be, will be.
Well, we missed the true home of Batman. Not Gotham, but Batsford, or Batsford. So I had an email filling me in on a tale or two, and there are some things that we can talk about here, namely Batsford's Woods. And no, we don't mean the Arboretum, as I've not really had many reports from there, but instead the neighbouring woodland areas. One story goes back to the 1970s. But it does have a slight air of authority, as it's from a police officer. He was apparently driving his police car in the vicinity of Batsford Woods when an apparition appeared. And I don't have a full description of the apparition. However, it seems it was a glowing figure. It appeared so quickly that it caused the officer to swerve off the road and hit a tree. You might expect the officer to try and come up with a more plausible explanation, such as a deer jumped out in front of the vehicle, but no, they made an official statement claiming that a ghost caused the crash. And it seems the officer was a well-respected member of the force and had their report taken seriously. Police officers seeing ghosts in the area is not that unusual. For another one described an experience they also had. He was out walking with his wife around the Arboretum, and I know we said no stories about the Arboretum. However, this tale was more that they'd wandered off the path and were actually heading into the woods and so on, and ended up in a sheltered glade. They then felt a repressive atmosphere suddenly take over and an overpowering feeling of unpleasantness, forcing them back to the main path. Now, they are not the only people to have reported this, and I've had several acquaintances say a similar story when they ventured off the path and into the woodlands. Now, if you're on the road between Batsford and Morton-in-Marsh, you may experience another one of our staple spooks, that being a hooded monk-like figure with slightly more up-to-date sightings. One sighting, I say up-to-date, 1984, and that was a woman who was driving along between the two crossroads near the top of the hill near Batsford village. Figure apparently crossed the road from left to right before drifting along into a paddock and out of sight. There was a religious order nearby in a property, and I say nearby, we're talking about a mile away, but that had not had monk-like presences in the living flesh there for many, many years. Well, last week we talked about some spooks, including a headless one at Bretforton, but we failed to mention the Fleece Inn, or certainly didn't go into any details. Now, it's a sort of timeless pub with history, with legends of spooks and so on, but because of an excellent institution called the National Trust, it is supposedly one of the most unaltered pubs in the United Kingdom. Its roots stretch back to the 15th century, when it began life as a timber-framed farmhouse, and after a rebuild in the 17th century, it became a public house in 1848. Remaining under the stewardship of the same family as well until Lola Taplin, who was the last of her line, and she passed away in 1977. Now, it's her that we think we've got to thank for the spooky goings-on. Now, Taplin was a stalwart of tradition, bequeathed the pub to the National Trust on the condition that it preserved its original unspoilt sort of state, and a promise has been kept to this day, or at least to the day when I last visited the place. So it's a truly authentic interior comprising of 3 main rooms. There's the brew house, the pewter room, and the dugout. Each retaining period features that tell the story of its rich heritage. The brew house, for example, where homebrewed beer and cider were made right up until the 1930s. Now that boasts flagstone floors, grandfather clock, and a fireplace. Intriguingly, circles carved into the hearth were believed to ward off witches and evil spirits from entering through the chimney. So if you want to see something paranormal, and you haven't seen any spooks, see if you can find those. They're basically shields from witches. I don't mean a shield acquired from a witch's. I mean, it's supposed to shield you from witches flying through your chimney. The pewter room houses an impressive collection of 17th century pewter displayed in a wooden dresser. Local legend claims that Oliver Cromwell once left this pewter behind in exchange for gold to pay his troops en route to the Battle of Worcester. Now, like the brew house, this room features a high-backed settle and flagged floors, and once hosted the pub's popular folk club, which I think has now moved to sort of the barn opposite. The dugout served as a games room, complete with a now unused dartboard that remains as a nod to its gaming past. But who cares about all that stuff? We want to know about the spooks. But the important thing about a building that is unchanged, they tend to have more spook sightings because the environment is similar to when those people were around, which is also why when you start demolishing things, the ghosts come out as though you've just annoyed them as you're knocking down their favourite living room or door or something. So the ghosts, Lola is the ghost we think we can find, because apparently she insisted on treating the inn like it was an extension of her home. If you're drinking in her home, you were her guest. But that also insisted on not allowing food to be consumed on the premises. People who did bring food in after her actual death could possibly be rewarded with poltergeist activity. One workman, for example, brought his sandwich box in and placed it on the table, only for it to be thrown in the air moments later by an unseen force. Tales of a ghost hurling food escapades and throwing objects around the bar still persist to the day. Perhaps she disapproves of the changes to her beloved inn. Another spectral figure associated with the Fleece is Spot Loggins. I know, a weird name. A 17th century cattle drover whose legend is celebrated each November. Basically, another spook that you might be able to find. And the reason I mention it, it's November. So if you're listening to this in months to come, I apologise, you've sort of missed out on Spot Loggins. The Fleece Inn represents a vanishing tradition of unspoilt family-run pubs. You can tell I'm reading that off of the internet, can't you? And it's presided over by a long-serving female licensees. Thanks to Lola Taplin's foresight, the National Trust stewardship, it remains an enduring symbol of Britain's historic pub culture. Oh, I think they may have just spotted some spooks in the background. I don't know if you can hear voices in the background. Something's happened. I'm going to go and find out what's actually happened whilst I leave you with a song about Angry Lola. I'm hoping they've just spotted a spook somewhere.
Oh, Lola Taplin's temper's wild. As a ghost, she's not turned mild. She hates you still, I must confess. She haunts you if you make a mess. She don't like pies, she don't like stew, your chips and gravy she'll fling it too. She don't like cheese, she don't like bread, she'll throw your food though she is dead. No sausage is safe, no sandwich too, no nuts or fruit, no cake for you. So don't bring snacks or things to munch, this poltergeist will steal your lunch. I have a hunch she'll steal your lunch. Hey, hey, hey! Oh, Lola Taplin's just a ghost, but she hates mess and food the most. It is her home and drink is fine. Forget the cheese and stick to wine. She don't like pie, she don't like stew, your chips and gravy she'll fling it too. She don't like cheese, she don't like bread, she'll throw your food though she is dead. No sausage is safe, no sandwich too, no nuts or fruit, no cake for you. So don't bring snacks or things to munch, this poltergeist will steal your lunch. I have a hunch she'll steal your lunch. Hey, hey, hey! Oh, she rattles the taps, she shakes the floor, she'll toss your crisps right out the door. A ghost with taste, a spook with class. She thinks it's common, the food that's fast. And who are we to say she's wrong? Her life when here was good and long. She'll stay in death as we all fall. This poltergeist outlives us all. She don't like pie, she don't like stew, your chips and gravy she'll fling it too. She don't like cheese, she don't like bread, she'll throw your food though she is dead. No sausage is safe, no sandwich too, no nuts or fruit, no cake for you. So don't bring snacks or things to munch, this poltergeist will steal your lunch. I have a hunch she'll steal your lunch. Hey, hey, hey! I got this hunch, she'll steal your lunch.
Well, hello again. Now, sadly, they hadn't spotted a spook. Somebody just told a joke, which I can't say on the radio. It was pure filth. So instead, I'm going to take you to Broadway. And I'm not talking about the other show that I actually do on Cotswold Radio, which is a show about Broadway musicals. I'm actually talking about a place called Broadway here in the Cotswolds, and Broadway Tower, for example. Now, I've written about this area before. There's a book called The Paranormal Tourist Guide to Gloucestershire, and I know that sounds confusing, as I've said the area's sort of Cotswolds, and the Cotswold can be lots of different places, and this is technically Worcestershire, but it's in the Guide to Gloucestershire book. And the two border each other, and throughout the history that border's moved around a bit, sometimes including the village, sometimes not. And this happens a lot in British counties. A lot of the county lines move over the years. Currently Broadway is classed as Worcestershire, and that could change at some point. Anyway, that's irrelevant. It's in the book, Paranormal Tourist Guide to Gloucestershire. So I'm going to talk about Broadway Tower, and that was first published in the Gloucestershire book. But we've also had some updates and outdoor venues for you. So if you decide to visit this excellent tourist spot, then please do. It will cost you to go into that one, but some of these spooks are outside. So we start the road into or out of Broadway, depending on which way you're going, I suppose. We're searching for the rather offensive term, the village idiot. Yes, there's many idiots around right now, but we're looking for very, very specific ones. And I mean... there's an English phrase that's very old, referring to someone with mental issues, disabilities, or learning problems. It should be noted, however, that the term idiot is not really that old, as it was used to define an IQ rating. We get the term from the old French word idiote, meaning ignorant, and we get our modern insult from about 100 years ago or so, when it was a form of medical diagnosis. Now, the word idiot was defined as those so defective that the mental development never exceeds that of a normal child of about 2 years old. The word imbecile was those whose development is higher than that of an idiot, but whose intelligence does not exceed that of a normal child of about 7 years old. And the word moron was those whose mental development is about above those of an imbecile, but does not exceed that of a normal child about 12 years old. And that's from Edmund Burke Huey's Backward and Feeble-Minded Children, printed in 1912. Now, I know this is kind of lacking a lot to do with ghosts, but I love history and etymology. So let's go back to the point. Why am I telling you about a village idiot? Well, there is a reason, and that might be that you managed to see him on this road. We've mentioned him before on a previous episode, going way back if you get listening to the previous episodes on Spotify. So I'm only going to give a brief resume of this haunting, because you may well have heard our show ages ago. Now, the village simpleton, another word that was given to these people, was called Ephraim Rolfe. So Ephraim is Ephraim, if you're doing any research there. It was a rather popular figure with the locals, not overly blessed with intelligence, as we've said, and had an affinity for animals. He made a meagre living scaring birds from the fields as a human scarecrow, if you will. Sadly, one of Ephraim's neighbours was plagued by a poacher for years, and as Ephraim was out on his bird-scaring rounds heading down Springfield Lane, he was mistakenly killed by a landlord who mistook him for the poacher. Looking at my research, he seems to have been shot in Springfield Lane, though he's not he's not bright yellow with a penchant for donuts. He's not Homer Simpson in that Springfield, but a troubled spirit who haunts the fields rather than the lanes. So his thin and bony form apparently can now be seen in the fields surrounding the road.
Once a man with a hat too wide, he'd scare the birds, he'd guard the rye. Out in the field he'd laugh and sigh, but laughter fades when the scarecrow died. The people weep and the birds all cry. One cold dawn a rifle cracked, mistaken soul shot in the back. Now he sways in the moonlight night, a phantom scarecrow, a horrid sight. Not birds but men, he chills their bones, this field for phantoms he calls home. His jacket's torn, his buttons gleam, a stitched-up grin, a voiceless scream. He haunts the wheat, a broken dream, eyes like coals that spark and beam. The people weep at the sight they've seen. His silent curse, a ghostly chore, no bird, just men, forevermore. Now he sways in the moonlight night, a phantom scarecrow, a horrid sight. Not birds but men, he chills their bones, this field for phantoms he calls home. As scarecrows go, I have heard that he won't scare a single bird. At night he walks once more aging to terrify the hearts of men. His silent curse, a ghostly chore, no bird, just men, forevermore. Now he sways in the moonlight night, a phantom scarecrow, a horrid sight. Not birds but men, he chills their bones, this field for phantoms he calls home.
The most famous place in Broadway is not in Broadway, as it's the tower just outside of Broadway. And like most ancient castles, they're rarely in the town they're named after. They're always on the outskirts, some of them even miles away. And in this instance, they're also not exactly ancient. But we'll come to that in a minute. So what exactly do we know about the place regarding spooks? I had heard rumours about witchcraft and Satanism in the area, and this was confirmed when I contacted the tower. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. There's noises in the background. There's ghost hunters next door that are making strange noises, so I imagine somebody's just told another rude joke. And in this instance, we are talking about Broadway Tower. As I said, there were lots of rumours about witchcraft, about Satanism in the area. There's quite a lot of witch cults around here as well. So I spoke to their managing director a few years ago, and I think the best way to explain this is print the email I got from the managing director. I say print the email. I've printed the email. I'll get somebody to actually read out the email. Where's other Tom? Oh, well, let's find other Tom to read it for us.
In 1797, the 6th Earl of Coventry commenced the construction of Broadway Tower, much to the consternation of the villagers, and it became known locally as the Witch's Tower. So, although it would be most improbable for Lady Coventry at the age of 70 to engage in any sinister practice, perhaps it may well be the case that the local devil worshippers saw the tower as an ideal meeting point. Although Satanism was not public in England at this time, there were books published on the subject in France, so possibly it was practiced widely in England, and if covens met at the tower, perhaps there are restless spirits that are not yet in their ascendancy. On June the 2nd in 1943, a Whitley bomber crashed into the hill some 70 yards from the tower, and an attempt at rescue was made by an Albert Lowe, who was on duty at the ROC post at the time. He managed to save one crew member, who did later die, but then had to witness 4 other crew members die in the inferno, possibly even hearing their screams as they were not killed on the impact. Albert never spoke about this experience to anyone, neither family nor friends, and stood down from the Royal Observer Corps in 1945, and then did not enlist again when the corps were established in 1947, and he was always said to be haunted by the events of that day, but perhaps that haunting was also seeing the crew members in mind or matter, and in this regard. He never came back to the hill ever again. Could it be that he was visited by the crew begging to be rescued, or was it that the horrors of the day were just too much? What did he mean by the word haunted? On a lighter note, Broadway Tower received many requests for ashes of deceased relatives to be scattered around the tower for the primary reason that such relatives enjoyed the views and ambience on the hill, and they would want to be there forevermore. It is possible that the spirits of these departed are still seen enjoying their time on top of the hill with the views and tranquility, and even possibly surreptitiously visiting the tower from time to time. Best wishes, Annette Gorton, Managing Director.
Now, I know I got Tom to read it, but Tom does all my voiceovers, so it is a bit weird that I got Tom to read Annette's email. Unfortunately, I didn't have any female voiceover artists that were free this week. And I have spent many fantastic, enjoyable hours in the tower and around the area in the country, and can definitely say it's well worth a visit. And if you're a devil worshipper or Satanist, then perhaps a visit in the daytime rather than at night might actually be on the cards. More importantly, these fantastic buildings need paying visitors to make sure they remain open. So no devil worshipping for free, please. All Satanists must pay must post donations in envelopes upon arrival. Though by the looks of the website, covens of more than 12 people get group rates as well. I've not looked on their website for a while. But do, if you can, get to visit Broadway Tower. It's an interesting little folly building. All the joking aside, it's a marvellous sight. It even boasts its own herd of red deer. The winter views here are absolutely fantastic. And if you're listening to this in the summer, it's also amazing then. But the winter views are beautiful. If you can get there when it's snowy, it's absolutely amazing as you look out across from the tower across the valleys. When I wrote about this in the Gloucestershire book years ago, I've since found more stories regarding the spooks that can be seen around the tower, and many tales talk about shadowy male figures walking nearby the tower. Now, I've got a problem with these vague shadowy people stories, because if it is after I've written about the venue, as I know several people buy my books, listen to our radio shows and so on, then they might be going out ghost hunting. And for all I know, a lot of them, the follow-up stories are actually ghost hunters spotting other ghost hunters due to me telling them to head out and go wander around these towers. So it's a difficult place to search for on the internet, as Broadway, and we'll come up with a million different searches that have nothing to do with Broadway Tower. Therefore, you need to be more specific, and it does not help with the more specific search is a place called Middle Hill, which there are hundreds throughout the UK. So this Middle Hill is a couple of kilometres south of Broadway and has a legend attached to it that might possibly manifest in the form of an auditory ghost. During the dissolution of the monasteries, many monks and clergy took to hiding their church's treasures in various hiding places. Then the clergymen ended up burning with their churches or monasteries, thus losing the location forever, or they died without telling anybody. Now, this happened in Broadway, but the valuables were the church bells. Not gold or silver, they were hidden somewhere in these woods and have never been found again. They have, however, been heard. The most famous version of the legend states that during World War II, bell ringing was not allowed unless it was to indicate some form of attack or air raid. Thus, when the villagers heard the bells ringing, they went into panic mode until they realised the bells were actually coming from the woodland and not the church. These bells are occasionally heard by people out walking in the woods to this day. Yet most of the time they'll be ignored, as people assume it's just normal bell ringers and the sound of bells in churches, if there's such thing as a normal bell ringer, and not actually a phantom campanologist. I'm probably going to have to explain campanology now, aren't I? It's bell ringing. Right. Whilst you're looking up the word bell ringing and campanology, let's have a song about the bells in the woods.
In the hollow of the tree so deep, where shadows stretch and creatures sleep, a sound rings out that chills the air. The bells will peal, but there's nothing there. Phantom chimes throughout the wood, in the land where no church stood. A melody that haunts the air. The bells will chime, but there's nothing there. The leaves don't rustle and wind stands still. A ghostly tone climbs up the hill. The ringing tone so soft and fair. The bells will ring, but there's nothing there. Phantom chimes throughout the in the land where no church stood. A melody that haunts the air. The bells will chime, but there's nothing there. I stop, I stare, I hold my breath. Each note feels like certain death. Phantom chimes throughout the wood in the land where no church stood. A melody that haunts the air. The bells will chime, but there's nothing there. No footsteps near, no human trace, yet the sound will echo around this place. Each tree, each flower, and every fern sing out like bells do not return. Phantom chimes throughout the wood in the land where no church stood. A melody that haunts the air. The bells will chime, but there's nothing there.
There's so many voices in the background, but they're having a whale of a time ghost hunting. They haven't actually found anything yet. We've heard some weird noises and footstep type noises, but nothing specifically spooky, or that we could actually nail down or get recordings of, sadly. But so instead, let's take you to Broadwell, not Broadway, but Broadwell, which is another one of these superb, beautiful Cotswold-style villages, stone cottages, streams, village greens, local pubs, all that kind of thing. If you're an American tourist, it's exactly what you expect to see when you're going to the Cotswolds, and little cute churches. A historic village dating back at least as far as the Doomsday Book, when it had 46 people living here. Wow! Sprawling metropolis yet again. And during the Middle Ages, these people seem to have been joined by an order of Benedictine monks. So, now I'm going to regale you with tales of hooded monks wandering around the large village green. No, actually I won't. I'll hand you to the other stalwart of all villages, the haunted pub. So, if you manage to get to the Fox Inn, and if the Fox Inn still exists, pubs are closing all over the country at a rate of something like one a day. What I can ascertain is the ghost of that is a former landlord. He seems to do all the things a pub ghost is famous for. He's closing doors. He can be heard pacing around upstairs when there's nobody up there. The smell of pipe tobacco, that's not unusual in most haunted pubs either. And he's responsible for moving cutlery around on set tables. What is intriguing, however, is that he's been possibly sighted as well as sensed as well, as one customer claims to have caught sight of him sat at the bar even, surrounded by an intense cold sensation. For the more sober ghost hunter, then venture out of this pub and into the street, for we have a grey lady that is a bit of a streetwalker. And I mean that in the best of ways. There is a bridle path between Broadwell and Stow-on-the-Wold, and there are historic reports of a female figure seen gliding along on this path. She carries an umbrella, regardless of the weather, and is seen around about dusk. Now, reports claim that she is spoken to or approached, and then she's just going to disappear. This fits perfectly into the whole stone tape theories. Basically, it's a video replaying something that looked like a ghost, and when its pattern of behaviour is interrupted, or you've put something in its path, it will be the same as pressing stop on a DVD player. The image will just disappear. The bridle path ghost is not seen that often, so good luck searching for her, and remember to take a camera with you at dusk. Another one that has been sighted in the day and on the street is of a Civil War extraction. This one seems to have a death wish, even though it is dead. This is a soldier that's been stepping out in front of cars and then disappearing. So be very, very careful. We do not wish you to be careering off the road into a tree because we told you to drive down there looking for ghosts. Let's get a song in there now as you're driving up and down this road looking for some spooks. Let's have a song about some ghosts that stepping out into the road. I don't know if I can find one about that.
It floats by the lamppost at 2:45, waving its arms like it's trying to be free. Drivers hit the brakes, their hearts skip a beat. A ghost on the road, on the haunted street. But it's not here to haunt, it's not here to scare. It whispers, I'm sorry, but it's lost in the air. Nobody hears all the heartfelt words. An apologizing ghost is never heard. Oh, phantom of the road, can't get it right. You try to say sorry, but just cause a fright. The more that you try, the more that you scare. Life for a spook is really unfair. Don't wanna be rude, don't wanna cause fear. Don't wanna cause screams because you are near. Don't wanna be wrong, just wanna be good. He'd like to say sorry, if only he could. Oh, oh, oh. It steps in the headlights, glowing and bright. A sad little spook still causing fright. Hands in the air like it's waving hello, but the drivers just scream out loud, hell no! Oh, phantom of the road, can't get it right. You try to say sorry, but just cause a fright. The more that you try, the more that you scare. Life for a spook is really unfair. Don't wanna be rude, don't wanna cause fear. Don't wanna cause screams because you are near. Don't wanna be wrong, just wanna be good. He'd like to say sorry, if only he could. Oh, 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 It only wants peace, it only wants grace, but everyone's runs from its spooky little face. Oh, phantom of the road, can't get it right. You try to say sorry, but just cause a fright. The more that you try, the more that you scare. Life for a spook is really unfair. Don't wanna be rude, don't wanna cause fear. Don't wanna cause screams because you are near. Don't wanna be wrong, just wanna be good. He'd like to say sorry, if only he could.
Breaking news! And no, that does not mean I'm about to tell you that we've broken something. But we are here at the old prison at Northleach doing a ghost hunt after a fantastic cabaret night, may I add, and we have witnesses to some poltergeist activity. Sadly, they don't want to come on there and talk about it as they're a bit shy, but they've said I can tell you what they saw. Now, if you've been to the prison, then you will have come through one of three doors. Either the cafe, like most people do in the daytime, or the middle courtroom doors in the centre of a building. That can be sometimes if you're coming into the studio or if you're at an event or something. Now, if you come to the cabaret or the concerts, then you're probably coming through the prison block door. So where it says the old prison, that's the door. When an event like that happens, there's normally a small table here with someone sat at it, checking names and tickets. The table that was used earlier in the night was still there, even though all the people had left except for a handful of ghost hunters. All the spook spotters were accounted for, and a small group walked from the showroom in the into the corridor outside the cells, which is where the table was. They were met with the sight of a table wobbling as if someone was shaking it, which promptly stopped when it was pointed out. Now, there's no massive breeze somehow flowing through the building, not that a wind could possibly have moved a heavy table. The doors were all closed and all locked, so no one had just walked past and shaken the table or anything like that. So we've got no plausible explanation for the event. Now, this area is also where we've heard footsteps on many occasions, walking up and down the corridors when there's nobody there, and where myself and other spook spotters saw a shadowy figure walk along when we were in the courtyard looking back at the corridor from outside, knowing that there was no one else in the building. So some excellent possible, let's put our doubting brains in here, possible poltergeist activity here. Sadly, none that you can actually see, as there was no camera in there and no sound equipment recording either. So there's absolutely nothing we can play for you. As always happens, you can always join us on a future ghost hunt if you want, and several will be going online in the ticket page in November, so you can buy them as presents for each other for Christmas. So that's www.stickyproductions.uk/tickets. Now, you can also come along to the Incarcerated Cabaret shows, and there is one this Friday from that same address, www.stickyproductions.uk/tickets. And this week, it's all about the 80s, so I'm hoping we get someone performing Ghostbusters and Labyrinth and Never-Ending Story, something like that. Now, we're going to head back out there with lots of equipment to see if something happens again, and if we can capture it on camera or on a microphone. Now, do not get too excited. As all ghost hunters will tell you, these things only ever happen when you've put all the equipment away or put it somewhere else or before you get it out. Anyway, I'll quickly play another song and hopefully we might get something recorded back in a few minutes after this song.
Tiptoeing halls with my EMF. Lights flash red, but I'm out of breath. I'm chasing whispers through the night, but the ghost is floating just out of sight. I was in the kitchen when the chair flew by. My batteries died when the banshee cried. I turned away when it slammed the door. Now I'm here, it won't do it no more. The Ouija board went back in the box when I missed the keys. Turning the locks, a ghost hunter who makes mistakes, and they all think I am a fake. The spook spotter who's always late. Footsteps echo down the stairs. I fumble my camera, nothing's there. EVP and a voice breaks through, but I sneezed and missed what it tried to do. I was in the kitchen when the chair flew by. My batteries died when the banshee cried. I turned away when it slammed the door. Now I'm here, it won't do it no more. The Ouija board went back in the box when I missed the keys. Turning the locks, a ghost hunter who makes mistakes, and they all think I am a fake. The spook spotter who's always late. The flashlight's dim, the night is long. Every clue I find just feels all wrong. It's taunting me, I'm the fool. It's haunting me and won't play by rules. I was in the kitchen when the chair flew by. My batteries died when the banshee cried. I turned away when it slammed the door. Now I'm here, it won't do it no more. The Ouija board went back in the box when I missed the keys. Turning the locks, a ghost hunter who makes mistakes, and they all think I am a fake. The spook spotter who's always late. I'm never there, I guess that's fate.
Well, I'm back at home, so I'm on a different microphone. This is the third microphone I've actually used for this episode so far. So I'm back at home. We had a fantastic night. This is the day after. All right, so we had a fantastic night. There was some great stuff happen. Unfortunately, we didn't capture anything that I can actually broadcast, but we had some strange footsteps happening. We had some poltergeist activity, and we had a room full of very happy ghost hunters who went home, and most of them experienced something of interest. Now, we're going to have more ghost hunts next year, starting in February, I think. I don't think we've got any in January. It's a bit cold here in the middle of winter. So February is our first one after the cabaret night. So the cabaret is the second Friday of the month, every month, I think. That's Incarcerated Cabaret. And if you go on to www.stickyproductions.uk/tickets, that tells you when the cabaret nights are on. They will give you a ticket to the cabaret stuff, and then you stick around afterwards, and you stick around and do a ghost hunt, and you can buy a ticket that actually allows you to stay over as well. It's the end of today's show. I can hear the band next door starting to tune up, and that normally means I've got to go and join in, and we're going to have to say goodbye. So until next week. Now, also remember, you can email us. That's paranormaltourists@hotmail.com.co.uk. No, I'm going to say that again. That's paranormaltourists@hotmail.com. And tell us all about your spooky stories in the Cotswolds. Tell us places you want us to investigate, and fill in some more of the gaps that I've left in this week's show, after I tried to fill in all the gaps that you keep sending me, sir, saying you've missed this, that, you've missed that out. Anyway, get in touch. We'll speak to you next week. I know the band are telling me I've got to start playing, so yes, that's me. I'm playing. This is me actually playing from Frankenstein's Lobster, and from everybody here at the studio. Goodbye. My brain is rotted. I have no sleep. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.